My name is Christina Gagnier. I'm going to talk about children's privacy rights in 4 lenses. 1, the content we expose kids to, the conduct we expose kids to, the context they operate in, and how they have contact with each other on and offline. I am an internet privacy lawyer. I'm dealing with children, the EU, so many things at one time, but my real passion is children's privacy law. And I don't think we're advancing at the 15-second mark, so I'm just going to advance. So my story starts with Snoopy sunglasses. There's an epic photo of me in 1983 sitting on a training potty wearing Snoopy sunglasses reading a Richard Scarry book. I am so glad that the internet was not popularized or existed in a consumer fashion when that photo was taken. It resides in a photo album and it's protected. But I kind of fear for kids today and their parents. Their parents are oversharing of their information and images online. And I put up an Angry Birds example because this is very benign. People think this is okay. But through online gaming, social network sites, and other children's platforms, a lot of information is being collected. And parents seem somewhat oblivious to this. And now I come back to me. I really loved sunglasses when I was little. These are my Cabbage Patch Kid sunglasses. So I'm going to start with this little kid in 1983 and sort of where children's privacy law was created. It was created for my generation and those maybe 5 or 10 years beyond me, and how we protect kids online. And I come to this article which came out last week, which was parents really concerned about posting pictures of their kids online. And God knows I had enough bathtub photos, but this is a very popular Facebook thread, which is people want to post pictures of their kids and they're not realizing what that means to put pictures of their kids online and share information that later might be embarrassing and is part of a digital archive about their kids. So I'll start with content. From a regulatory perspective, we started with content. We wanted to make sure kids weren't exposed to bad content, and that began with porn. And that was a very big concern in the early 90s, is if kids are going online and they're exploring, what content are they going to meet? And for better or worse, the Communications Decency Act has surviving provisions and was meant to really protect kids online. The surviving provisions, which came around about 1996, are now things that we debate on a daily basis. But the real challenge was a constitutional one. And so even in protecting children's privacy, we met constitutional roadblocks in making sure that kids were protected. The next segment is actually conduct, and so websites and how they interact with children. And this is very important, and this is actually where we got the legislation that we've been talking about for the last 2 days, which is COPPA. I found this photo online, and apparently COPPA is an attack on all app developers, and there was this very cute photo of this child that sort of led that blog. But the reality is that we passed that legislation to protect data companies, online websites, anyone from having conduct with children that took their personal information and used it in a way that a child cannot meaningfully consent to. One of my favorite movies ever. So now I'll move to context. Now we're worried about how children interact vis-a-vis one another. And this comes up in a variety of ways. But kids today really want to get likes. They want that self-approval, whether that's through sending 600 text messages a day, which is an average for some kids, or it's using online sites like Facebook and Twitter. They want that self-value coming out of these social networks. And unfortunately, the result is oftentimes this. It's kids doing things that are very extreme to get attention, and now we're trying to figure out how do we protect kids when they're just trying to get attention, be involved, and be accepted, which is something that all of us probably participated in offline as we were growing up. The last area to focus on is contact, and I think this is the sticky privacy situation because contact has to do with things that are much more serious, and this is where my talk takes a serious turn. It has to do with cyberbullying. Here in California, we've had to pass legislation to protect kids like Seth, who were bullied to such an extent they decided to take their own lives. We also have a national conversation about cyberbullying, where kids are having contact with one another that's creating situations where they either want to take their lives or take very extreme measures. So what can we do to prevent this kind of behavior? And this is where privacy factors in once again. It's this idea that we're snooping on kids. The national media over the last several weeks has gravitated towards stories about school districts and other basically stewards of children during the day using social networking monitoring devices to see what children are doing online, see what they're talking about, see how they're interacting with one another. So have we evolved from a model where we're trying to protect kids and preserve their privacy through legislative measures to now we're using other technology measures to actually snoop on kids. And we're kind of having a trade-off between the privacy that kids enjoy and trying to protect children. This is a very sensitive age. Kids don't have things fully developed yet, so what is that trade-off? How do we protect kids and both preserve their privacy rights? And I feel that there has to be a medium. There has to be a middle ground between whether we're putting kids in the bathtub online, kids like me in their Snoopy photos, which I hope my mom doesn't post that on Facebook after this talk and seeing it, and kids and how they're interacting today in the online space. So I hope that in the children's privacy conversation, we talk about children's privacy rights. So thank you.